Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match Beyond All Reason. Today we're going to be taking a look at a match that was recently played on All That Glitters. This was the match that was submitted over on my Discord channel, which there's a link to down below in the description section. By the way, in case you wanted to join up in the Brightworks community, we do some pretty fun live streams on Tuesdays and Saturdays where we play some funky games with some funky settings. We get a chance to talk to the developers a lot of the times as well. It's a really good time. Definitely would recommend you join up over there. Spawning on the front line here as our blue team commander, as an Armada leader. I think I got those mixed up here. We have none other than I Just Want Pancakes. What a relatable name. I Just Want Pancakes. Maybe I'll go get some after this cast. I've already got my soda here, but I think maybe some pancakes sound pretty good to me. I think IHOP serves pancakes any time of day, right? Anyway, red team leader. Over on the front lines here as well, we have John Hunter. Now this is pretty cool. I like to see when the leaders are on the front lines here, especially on All That Glitters. It really does make a lot of sense. Put your strongest foot forward and then maybe your second strongest in the back to do some ecoing or maybe some airplay, something like that here. In this case, it's going to be Mecha Obama, the yellow leader here, the yellow team player, who's going to be spawning in the canyon position. Now, this canyon position has a completely redefined role in my eyes. Now that we have the geothermal here, it really does turn this into a very, very hard tech position. Yeah, because once you have a geothermal up and running, you essentially don't have to invest any more metal into energy production. You need very little energy production on the back of a geothermal in order to go for T2. So it really does mean that once you've gotten into this lane, you can afford to go T2. Once you get all your metal extractors, once you get your geothermal up and running, once you get all that controlled, it really does mean that you're essentially completely free to go ahead and go for T2. That's another change I just noticed here. This 3.2 metal extractor has moved pretty far back right here. Yeah, so the player right here, Fizz, looked like their F kind of blended into the character right there. Fizz right here, the green commander, has to move very far forward, claiming all of these metal extractors before they get to their 3.2, whereas the yellow commander only has to claim a few before they actually get up to this very valuable metal extractor. Obviously, having these extra mexes is going to be quite worthwhile here for the green commander as well, but it does mean certainly that the yellow commander can get that higher scale economy a little bit quicker here. Curious to see how that's going to go out. I do not play very much All That Glitters anymore. I'll be completely frank with you. I do not play very much All That Glitters. Typically, when I tend to take a look at games on this map, it's because I haven't seen a match on this map for a good long while, and that's certainly the case here. So I am curious to see how the meta has evolved, how it's changed, and this might not be the highest level of game that's currently out there on the markets. I'm certain that the pros have played plenty on this map with its new revisions. But I am curious to see what the people down in my skill level are certainly up to on this map. Nice little pick right here from these rascals. Managed to take a resbot off the field. They find another one here as well, but I think with those pawns in pursuit, they're not going to be able to find any more value here. Some ticks coming across, some pink ticks coming across right now from new player. 13 open skill, but a silver tail of chevron indicates maybe that's not so true, as these ticks run directly into the backline right here. Oh no, we scout the constructor. Yeah, go for the constructor kill. Nice. Guaranteed damage is almost always worth it right here. Okay, we're gonna avoid the constructor instead, opting for this one. Trying to find some value right here. Get a solar panel, sure. Why not? Snag a metal extractor, a solar panel, all that good stuff. Oh, that one just barely survives actually. Little bit of miss micro right there. 1% on that solar panel right there too. I think we probably could have done a little bit more damage with those ticks, but all said and done, you've got to be pretty happy with that amount of damage already. 2 metal extractors going down, solar panel falls as well. One of them scuffed up quite badly, but it will reopen and slowly start to produce energy once more. Not the end of the world right there for the powder blue commander, but definitely a fabulous start right here for our hot pink leader. Canyon is very quiet, luckily. Cries out Pupper Gumper. No, sorry, Pupper Gump. Having a moment today. Can you tell I'm a little bit tired? Need to wake up, I think. Should have gone for coffee. Coffee and pancakes would have been ideal here. Mecha Obama, the yellow player, gonna be setting up a little bit of a siege position. We've got the Shell Shocker firing away already. We've got some blitzes coming up to the front here as well. And we should see this, again, geothermal started up as quickly as we can. Yeah, we want to send at least 2 constructors to go work on it if we want to put it up in a timely manner. But you do need a little bit of energy production in order to get that geothermal up and running. Now, one thing that does tend to work out quite nicely is using your teammates or having your teammates send you energy, right? Do a little bit of a communism sort of a thing and have everybody send you energy to dump into the geothermal. Geothermals don't take very much build power. They just take a whole lot of energy to get up and running. So if you can find a way to front that energy really, really quickly, oh, we're hoping for this constructor here, you can get yourself into a really nice position. And obviously having that geothermal up and producing energy makes it a lot easier to keep your E-stores nice and high. And of course, you can always leak that energy back into your team's reserves as well as sort of a payment plan, right? A payback method. Laco here, the orange commander, using those Cortex incisors, those not so newly buffed, but recently buffed Cortex incisors that can now fire over their own heads. Doing quite a bit of damage over here. The red leader is trying to get some aggression done. We have some maroon forces moving forward here as well as a bunch of pawns for the red leader John Hunter, all of which trying to look for any amount of aggression that they can find over here. This 3.2 has been left unclaimed for a good long while. We need to get that locked down right now, but it's going to be a lot harder now that units are already headed forward right now. LT going to be happy to blast down anything it can, but it'll only take down a single pawn before those aggravators manage to blast it to smithereens. And just like that. Yeah, the red team denying a critical part of the economy right here for the right-hand side of the map. Incisors trying to get aggressive over here. They do punch through a little bit, but they leave a lot of wreckages behind, and all of that's going to be easy to reclaim right here for any commander playing with res bots, and that's going to be everybody on the front line right here for the blue team. Save for Sharkonaut. Sharkonaut and Tackier 52, the only two playing with vehicles right here for the blue team. Means that those lanes will be harder to break through and potentially have more run-by opportunities. Oh, just like this. Couple of medium tanks sneaking into the forward facilities right here of the red leader. Nicely done. Yeah, gonna take down some metal extractors, some solar panels. Might even be able to jump on the lab here. We do have build power, slowly ripping apart molecule by molecule, unbolting and unriveting each of these tanks in their chassis. And eventually... you know what? The medium tank gets the build power there too. All right, not bad. I would say probably snagging the mechs and the solar panels, not worth 2 medium tanks, but taking out that build power definitely is. Tons of energy goes into that, but also quite a lot of metal. Yeah, definitely well worth it there. T2 up and running right now. By the way, on the last live stream, we did test it out. The new unit market thing is fully functional. So the way that works is you select a unit like this, and then it adds a little command card down on the southern side that says for sale or not for sale. You just click it to for sale, and anybody that wants to can just shift double click, I believe, or maybe it's just shift click. They can click on the unit and purchase it without you having to micro anything. Really, really handy. You don't have to worry about sending metal and all that sort of stuff. You can just put it for sale, and then anybody that wants a T2 constructor can just go to your T2 constructor lot and go ahead and buy one. I don't know. I think it's really novel. I think it's a cool way of handling that whole system, because obviously you want to pay for those units, right, to try and help mitigate the costs and cut down on production times and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it can be a little bit tricky to manage, right? You have to kind of find the player over here, fiddle with the sliders and all that sort of stuff. Bar is, if nothing, in my mind, famously easy to control. The control scheme is really, really ridiculously simple, at least compared to other RTSs. Like, I go to StarCraft often as just kind of the common comparative, but for instance, the ability to select your units, drag and form them into a perfect line like that is just beautiful control scheme. It's something I feel like I take advantage of all the time, take for granted, really, but it is super, super intuitive. So I feel like it makes sense for Bar to kind of try and push for more intuitive controls. I don't know. Is there anything that you'd like to see controlled or see changed about the control schema? You could definitely leave a comment down below. I'm always happy to read those comments. Oftentimes what ends up happening is people leave really interesting comments down below, and then I end up talking about them on the live stream. So there you go. I know I'm shelling for the live stream quite a lot this stream, but or this video, pardon me, but it is a really fun time. I definitely recommend you check it out. That's another thing, another reason why I'm shelling for it is because I've gotten quite a few comments recently about people who say something along the lines of, I'm brand new to the game and I'd like an opportunity to play the game without really being berated too hard for trying new things or figuring out new positions. If there's certainly an aspect of the live streams that people might appreciate, it's that it's a low stress situation, or at the very least a technically non-competitive situation. Ranking is turned off. We play with fun settings. It's definitely a for fun sort of situation. Yeah, sort of environment. Anywho, Fizz over here on the left-hand side, using that commander to reclaim a bunch of this wreckage. That's lovely to see. Just casted a game where I watched 4,000 metal sit on the battlefield for basically the entire match. Nobody reclaimed it at all. Gonna send a D-gun forward over here, just trying to clear away some of the wreckage. Very nicely done. You can see every D-gun we send right here, wiping out a couple hundred metal. I really like that play from Fizz. Oftentimes we only see the D-gun used to clear out, for instance, commander wreckages that can't be reclaimed, but it really does make sense. I mean, just D-gun down whatever you can. Any scrap of metal that you can deny going into the enemy's hands is going to be well worth it here. Using that reclaim to pay for a T2 on the back of the tech centers over here, by the way. I will say, T2 transition quite a bit quicker right now for the red team. You can see already T2 mexes are coming up and running. We have butlers assisting a constructor right here, going around and upgrading all these T2 mexes. We have basically everybody that paid for one got a T2 mex right now, and they're all starting to upgrade. Getting those T2 mechs up and online, it seems like a small advantage, but it's 4 times the economy that you're pulling out of the ground. Really, really efficient. The most efficient metal production in the game. A beholder camera was set up over here. That'll be denied by Laco. Trying to use those sneaky perimeter cameras as a scouting measure. Not gonna happen. One of them up and running from the orange commander. It's one of those funny things that happens in games that are very symmetrically balanced is any decision that a opposing commander produces, right? Any strategic move that they make, you can always say, hey, I have access to those too. That you see them putting down radar towers and you're like, oh, I could put down radar towers as well. Yeah, things like that tend to happen a lot, and I think that's exactly what we saw here. Orange put a security camera down. Suddenly, Blue said, hey, wait, that's a great idea. I think I'll go for some of those as well. Incisors, trying to find some value here. Not really doing a good job, though. Yeah, Rocketeer's holding strong. Holding the line against the Incisors. Incisors not really with the health pool to do frontline combat like this. They're much better at flanking and doing different maneuvers around defenses. Like, for instance, this massive open gap right here. By the way, my goodness, yeah, tremendous opening right here directly into the backlines. No LLTs, no defenses on any of these metal extractors in this central area right here. 1 or 2 incisors, a couple of pawns, 2 or 3 grunts moving forward right there. You could wipe out tons of the economy right here for the orange and pink commanders. Definitely a scouting issue. We need to see scout planes moving forward to reveal that those openings exist. Shurikens and fighters moving over on this side here. Going to try and paralyze any of these units that are moving forward right now, but we do have a trasher out on the front line, as well as some anti-air turrets in the back as well. All working to shut down those shurikens, and they do shut down those shurikens. Very nicely done. Anti-air going to work on these gunships here as well. A bunch of Banshees. Banshees have been showing up more and more recently. I can't tell if they've been changed and maybe have some sort of a buff that I'm unaware of, but I keep seeing them more and more recently, and every time I see them, I'm a little concerned that there's such a heavy investment just to not really be worth very much on the front lines. Light anti-air, more than sufficient to take down those Banshees in the air. Means that you have a really, really efficient counter to a really, really inefficient unit. Never a good situation. Thugs moving forward. Mass Centurion, a strategy that I'm seeing more and more, and I think there's a good reason for it. I think the Centurions might be the new wave. They're certainly expensive, but once you're starting up that T2 economy, if you don't want to make that T2 transition immediately, the Centurion are definitely a good option. Expensive for the T1 era, but fairly cheap for the T2. And for the bulk that they provide on a battlefield, as long as you're still going up against T1, or maybe even just very early T2, I would say that the Centurion can still be very valuable. You do have to be careful, though, because you can put a lot of metal out on the field in the form of Centurions, and then suddenly find yourself with no metal to go for your T2 transition. All of your units die, and suddenly you're left with basically a wreckage field that you can't control because you don't have enough units. It can be a disaster for sure. Just like this. Tons of T1 units going down right here. We need to send this Resbot forward to eat up all of this wreckage. 4,000 metal lying on the field right now, available for the reclaim here. D-gun? D-gun? I just want pancakes, ignoring the medium tanks. Oh no. Medium tanks having a field day, blasting apart this commander. 4%, and boom goes the commander right there. A little bit of an APM stall for our blue team leader. But you know what? A perfect trade right there. It's just like that, the orange commander falls as well, taking down both the gauntlet and the... Oh no, the gauntlet stands actually. In that case, taking down the agitator, but not the gauntlet, leaving that long range area control plasma artillery up and running. Using its government issued name, its legal name, its full legal name. It has 2 middle names, apparently. Control Plasma. Looks like we did eventually get a run-by right here. Lovely stuff. One of those things that's really easy to forget. Doing those run-bys, continually doing those run-bys, harassing enemy units. Easy to forget to invest in that sort of thing because it feels like their static defense is unbreakable. But oftentimes, their static defense will just be ignorable. And that's way better. Wolverine numbers have built up to scary numbers at this point. Recluse coming up and over the hill as well. Important for damage, sure, but also great for scouting. Allows these Wolverine to fire up and over this hillside and down onto the units over here. Spybot is built even. Sent on over in this direction. Medium tanks jumping on top of the shell shockers. Ah, yeah, shell shockers caught without any sort of assault escort. And that'll be the majority of them going down right here. Man, if there's one thing medium tanks are, it's sturdy. Capable of just outliving their opponents. Spybot detonated on the medium tanks here to try and save as much of this as possible. Already the shell shockers have fallen though. Rocketeers pushing forward, trying to take advantage of this single opportunity, but the rocket spiders up in the hills firing away are a menace. And more of them are going down every single second right here. We do see a T2 transition right now from the Orange Commander. Paid for the loss of the front line right here with the T2 transition. Certainly could be effective right here. These heavy tanks are going to be wonderful for blasting apart any of these thugs on the front line, or pardon me, mesas, the Armada thugs on the front line. Tigers don't do the very most damage, but they certainly do a lot of it quickly. Rapid fire twin Gauss cannons, laying down the smack. Put in the hurt. I think the Tiger might be a little slept on. I don't know. I was never a big fan of the Tiger because of how expensive it is relative to its seemingly low damage. But the fact that it's really only 600 metal, I mean, compared to T2 prices, for instance, compared against the Bull, which is 900 metal, you do get a very sturdy unit. And I think that health buys a lot back for it. Just being able to survive encounters it comes across and continue putting out damage definitely buys a lot of value here for the Tiger tank. E-converters going up in smoke right here. Build power in a whole lot of trouble. Focus fire it down. We can pop it all. There we go. Chain reacting to build power here. Super annoying. We have constructors to rebuild all of it, but it's sufficient to say that that build power going down definitely hinders some of the progress right here for the blue leader. He's going to have to try and rebuild right now. We have constructors on the front, so we could try and rebuild all these metal extractors, and indeed we should. Maybe splitting those up and going after multiple metal extractors wouldn't be the worst idea. Kind of equal damage on all sides though. The red commander, or the orange commander, pardon me, trying to rebuild over here on the fronts, trying to get those T2 mexes up and running. The blue leader now going to have to rebuild all their mexes as well. Going for T2 in the backline. We need some butlers up, I think. 2 or 3 butlers attached to a T2 constructor can make it put together those T2 metal extractors quite quickly. There we go. We are going to use these T1 constructors to try and rebuild over here. Thousands and thousands of metal left in ruin all over the place. There's one thing I'd like to see. Maybe it's a couple of those reclaimed spiders. The Webbers. Big Mauser ball over here for Mecha Obama. Mecha Obama. Yeah. Mauser's very, very intimidating for a lot of these units. At this point, we've got enough of them to fire a hail of projectiles, enough to shut down even T2 marching forward. I think a Spybot would probably be the ideal solution here. Oh, beautiful connections. Yeah, the Mauser outranged the Sheldon. Just like that, those Sheldon are forced onto the retreat, losing the radar and radar jammer bot. These Mauser are in a critical position. What a beautiful, beautiful artillery setup right there. Lovely stuff. Build power slowly coming up and online again. Always tricky to rebuild your build power. You need build power to build the build power. A little bit of a catch-22. We are now stepping into the T2 era over here on the right-hand side. Sprinters and Sheldon marching forward. That'll be the death of the Lavender Commander right here, as well as large portions of the Lavender Commander's base now in trouble. So Sheldon start to get to work on him. Sheldon, similarly, not overwhelming as far as individual firepower goes, but in a big ball that could certainly do some serious damage. There they go, blasting away one of those Dragon's Maw pop-up flamethrower turrets. Sprinters right here being used to shut down medium tanks. I actually don't mind sprinters against medium tanks, except for the fact that the one reason why they're good is their mobility, and in a canyon or something like this, it's very strictly limited how much they can move around over here. Shuriken's doing a great job of paralyzing things, though, allowing units that otherwise would stand no chance against the T2 to have an effective fight against them. So easy for Shuriken to get value into that late game. Really nice to see. T2 Mex is coming online right now for the blue team leader. I just want pancakes. Trying to get some of those build turrets back up and running right here. We do have a player topping out of the blue match right now. I suspect I know who it was. The Lavender Commander in the back right here. Losing their entire base to a bunch of sprinters that leaked on by. And those leaks are destined to keep on coming. We have the T2 lab, but we're still pumping out the Rocketeers for some reason. Definitely an interesting decision. Rocketeers significantly worse than Hounds, but effectively doing the same job. Big Tiger Ball over here. I think this Tiger Ball could stand to be a little more aggressive. This is all just T1 static defense. Tigers are going to eat all that up and some more. Yeah, you know what? I really wouldn't mind seeing these Tigers getting a little bit more aggressive on the map. Even going for a run by and trying to take out these T2 Mexes. You can see the advantage that these T2 Mexes have slowly bought the red team piece by piece. We're now looking at almost double the metal production right here for the entire red team. Mauser over here have gotten tons of value, by the way. 75 kills between the 23 Mauser that have just been sitting over here, shelling away at any of this spam that's been running forward right now. Typically, if your spam isn't achieving all too much and you don't need the vision, then it's best to turn it off. It is quite expensive to run a spam lab. Easy to forget that, but it is really expensive. Shuriken paralyzing ticks over here. Ticks and sprinters. The Lavender Commander needs to be taken over here. I think Pupper Gump should probably try and take over this base. Try and commandeer it. Use all the metal to try and boost their own economies right here. But my goodness, why aren't we producing it at the T2 lab? We've just been spamming Rocketeers right now, but they're going to be outclassed by any amount of T2. Here come the Hounds. These are the units that we should have had on the field right now for Pupper Gump. I guess one Chevron, maybe not aware of exactly how devastating those Hounds are, but about to learn a dangerous lesson in exactly why those T2 units are so dangerous. So deadly. So efficient. There they go. Hounds taking no damage while the Rocketeers fall. Just like that, this army is slowly crumbled to pieces. Not even very slowly. Pretty rapidly crumbled to pieces right here. Yeah. Puppergum making the right move, but then failing to follow up on it. And that's going to be the red team leader. John Hunter pushing forward right now, winning the canyon lane. Gonna jump on top of the commander with those sprinters as well. Oh, any second. Boom goes the commander right there. Beautifully done by the red team leader. Continuing to apply pressure right here. Just a little bit of a misplay from the Seafoam Green Pupper Gump commander. But it will mean that this lane has completely collapsed. Without any way of pushing into these Mauser over here on this side. There we go. We do have some Arbiter mixed in. That's definitely one solution since these Mauser are just sitting still over here. Oh, but if you step just an inch too forward, you lose it all. That is so brutal. So brutal. Losing all of those Arbiters and Sheldon and all that sort of stuff. Essentially, you rely on building a big ball of those units in order to be really effective. Losing any amount of them like that really sets your snowball back quite a lot. And with these units rolling out into the other sides of the map right here, suddenly the advantage is mounting. That double or so economic advantage has continued to scale right now. Lovely eco-scaling on all behalves from the red team. Just propagating that T2 transition a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner. Shuriken paralyzing onto this. You know what? Razorback, pardon me, to clean all this up. It's a over-glorified grunt making its way downtown. Will do a nice job of cleaning a lot of this up, though. Heavy Tank's going to be stepping in as well. We do have a single sprinter in the backline, though, eventually blasted down by the Heavy Tanks. But my goodness, are we going to use these Heavy Tanks for something? They need to go get damage immediately. If we can manage to break, I would say, maybe 2 of these frontliners, maybe we could have some sort of efficient transition here. But more and more units are leaking into the backline right here. Warty, the Cyan commander, the air commander here for the blue team, who has been using those shurikens very nicely, by the way. In a little bit of trouble. Purple Razorback should probably just be handed over here at this point, just to make sure that it stays in position to defend the Cyan commander. Glad to see that we do have T3 coming out to the battlefield right now, but we should see T3, yeah, storming across right here for the red team as well. It's going to be Marauders coming out of the lab right here for Conquistor? Conquester. We'll go with Conquester. Yeah, we're a little over-invested here, actually. I was looking at this base. We have triple APHIS and loads of E-converters, and we're producing Marauder. You actually only need one APHIS to really steadily produce Marauder, but I suppose more the merrier, and nobody's going to be upset to have more Marauder out on the field, doing damage, tearing up that front line. Such an annoying battle over here. We do have those Arbiters trying to fire away at whatever they can. Probably the best bet would be to park the Arbiters over here on this little mountain ridge so that they can fire up and over the hill onto these Mauser. Sheldon trying to push back this spam of pawns moving forward right here, but definitely inconvenient to do so. Manticore firing away at whatever it can, but the Razorback will say no thank you and push it back. Loads of res and reclaim over here on this side. I'd love to see this all mopped up as well. We take a look in our superior metal vision, you can see, yeah, 6,000 there, 4,000 there, a couple thousand over here as well, probably about 2,000 or so. At this point in the game, going to be a useful amount of metal to start pumping out some of those T3 units. We do have Marauder coming up now for the Purple Commander, who's also significantly economically invested. Trying to pump out as many of those T3 and put them on the field as possible. If you think about the value of your units as the time goes on, as the game goes on, every tech jump that you go for, every time you step up a technological level, the value of the first units that come out is much higher than the value of the units that follow it. So your first Razorback will likely be going up against T1 and some T2. Your second Razorback will mostly be against T2. And, you know, by the time you're spamming out 3, 4, 5 Razorbacks, you'll eventually be going up against T3. So that first Razorback has the potential to do way more damage than the subsequent Razorbacks that are going to be competing at their weight level. So what that means is it pays to be really, really aggressive with the very first, second, third T3 unit that you pump out. Using those much more aggressively means that you're going to get a lot more value, and that's the way that you come back into games like this. It's what the blue team needs right now. Trying to rebuild a bunch of these metal extractors, which I do appreciate. Trying to get them back up and running right now, but it's definitely a slow and grueling uphill battle. If these heavy tanks were way more aggressive too, I mean, hold on, what's the total cost of these tanks? I'm trying to exclude all the non-green tanks right there. I think I've got them. 45 tanks valued at 30,000 metal for all of these heavy tanks. My goodness, 30,000 metal. That's 3 Titans worth of metal in heavy tanks right now, sitting essentially idle on the front line, being used as glorified static defense. It hurts my soul just a little bit. Marauder trying to just stir things up, I suppose. You know what? They popped the commander over here. Nice snipe on that commander. Does actually send a ripple through the yellow forces. Devastating all of the front line right here. Not bad whatsoever. Eventually, those Marauder will be cleaned up over here, but opening up that lane definitely helps out. Gonna allow these Sheldon to actually get a little bit more value marching forward. Maybe they can start pushing. Resbots included over here, which is always cool to see as well. It's gonna come down to who gets more aggressive. The red team leader has just been steadily ecoing up this whole time, going for more aphises, going for more economy, just trying to make sure that we're constantly scaling those eco structures upwards. Yeah, that advantage has somewhat remained stagnant, but depending on reclaim, it can swing either way. I like the inclusion of the Sumos here. I think that's a good idea. Sumo's pretty good at dealing with a bunch of those T1 spam units, ticks, pawns, grunts, all that sort of stuff. I think a single Razorback over there wouldn't be the worst idea, though. Heavy gunslinger investment right here from new player. Trying to use those regenerating, XP gaining, rootin' tootin', gun shooting, dual wielding, spine having gunslingers. Try and get some value out here. I don't think they're going to do well against the T3 Razorbacks, but I'll believe it when I see it. Glad to see that we're expanding the build power here. We're thinking about going for some economic expansion. Once you've secured the lines like this with the T3, it's important to try and continually expand your economy. Despite the gunslingers not performing well individually against this Razorback here. Well, I was going to say the Webbers are going to paralyze it eventually and it'll make it efficient, but you know it's better than the Weber. How about 100 Shuriken? Up in the air, blasting away at a whole bunch of this stuff, meaning that just a single Razorback or two can really efficiently devastate this entire T1 battlefield. Beautiful stuff. We do have a SAM turret up in the air right here, trying to shoot down as many of those shuriken as possible, but it's not going to be much. Please move your medium tanks forward. Nothing would make me happier than seeing these medium tanks move forward right now. I think 5 minutes ago, they could have won the game. 2 minutes ago, they could have broken a front line. At this point, all they'll be able to do is trade out fairly efficiently against the other big ball of medium tanks over on this side of the map. That is the problem. If you stagnate, find yourself waiting around too long, and then suddenly you're in this weird position where all this metal you invested in units is suddenly defunct. No longer worthwhile. Glad to see more eco expansion back here. That's what I was checking on. Making sure that we're continuing to expand the economy here. We do have a T2 constructor marching its way backwards, trying to set itself up over there. Paralyze the commander, alright. Don't get that often, but it's definitely possible. Rare, but possible. New player goes up in smoke. Nice snipe right there from the purple commander. Catching that cyan, or no, pardon me, that hot pink commander just a little bit too far forward. But definitely going to be worth it. Gotta send some res bots in that direction. Actually, wouldn't mind seeing those commanders resurrected. Yeah, picking up those commanders and putting them back on the field just to degun any T3 units that might march forward over there. We do have quite a T3 ball built up here, by the way. Tons and tons of T3 has been spammed out right now from the pink commander. Just been building more and more aphises, more and more economy. We've got a Thor rolling out as well, Thor 2. Those are excellent for breaking front lines. But in this case, I think the Marauder are going to be more than enough. Pulsars on the front here as well. Great for blasting down T3 units. Sort of not tremendous against basically anything else. We have Tremors just dumbfiring on the field over here. Just making sure that units can't really move forward. That's pretty funny. It is an effective way of denying an area of the map. Not a very cost-effective way, but a way nonetheless. And here we go. Thor marching forward. We've got the Razorback for spam support, and we've got the Thor for the EMP missile, as well as its high damage output. Definitely the Thor beats the Razorback in the 1v1. Even better if we EMP it. Yep, there we go. EMP missile used right here by John Hunter, and I'm thrilled to see it. So many times we see the EMP missile neglected. And just like that, that Razorback will be turned off, allowing the tick... Oh, well, if they're not friendly fired, allowing the ticks to move forward. Razorback, oh, gets paralyzed. Thor has the luxury of being unparalyzable. There we go. Razorback trying to fire away at all this stuff. Razorback as anti-air is kind of funny. It does technically work. Just kind of odd. I think we need some fighters in this direction, though. With the brown player, we're willing to get into this game here and send some fighters over onto the right-hand side. I think we can probably see those units swatted out of the air here. There's no fighters to protect all this. It's just shurikens and gunships. Very sad to see. We do at least have a very nice defensive wall of Wasp gunships, but I'm pretty certain that the red commander would be thrilled to have something shooting these out of the air at this point. Always important to keep your eyes up on the match right now, especially as a air player. It's a very tricky position to learn. You have to be very map aware in order to play air. Very difficult indeed. EMP missile charge, but not used once more right here by the Thor, means it will eventually fall. Reinforcing Razorback's going to come out here. Eventually, the shurikens are cleaned up as well. It means that these Razorbacks are free to fire away again. Those Roughnecks are quite tough. Do we have any nuclear missiles? It's about time in the game that somebody starts investing in nuclear missiles. There's almost always assuredly one person who goes ahead and goes for one. But I don't see any. Yeah, you know what? No nuclear missiles this time around. Surprising, frankly. I would have imagined nuclear missiles would have been a surefire reach for. Finally, the music escalates as the T3 begin to march forward. Fizz in a whole lot of trouble, but could be set up for the killer D-gun of the century right now. Here it is. Here it is. Every opportunity, boom! Cleaving a path through those Jiva right there with that D-gun. Beautiful, beautiful stuff from the Green Commander. Lovely, lovely play right there. Managed to shut down so much of that T3 using just the D-gun. Beautiful, beautiful positioning, I want to say. Yeah, positioning from the Red Commander. Demons marching forward. I guess the nail that, or the straw that broke the camel's back, the nail that broke the camel's back, I don't know where I got that from, straw that broke the camel's back was seeing that army push forward on the left-hand side, triggered the offensive from everybody here on the front line. Air, oh my lord, cries out Conquestor, who is desperately hoping for some sort of air support. Not to find it. Apparently, Sir Well Hung is apparently a defensive air expert only. Offensive air is... That's a different department. You'll have to contact the Department of Aerial Offensives. Completely different bureau. He doesn't take those calls. Thor's here, however. They don't care. They do not care. They've got the ticks gumming up their tire tracks right here, their treads. Definitely unfortunate, but not going to be enough to stop them, unfortunately, for the blue team, who now has 3 Thors effectively into their backline. Here we go. Boom goes the base of the blue commander, sending an explosive chain reaction through everybody's base. Hello? All right. We're paratrooping some mammoths into the backline right now. All right. There we go. Sure, why not? Heavy transport's quite difficult to shoot down. Gonna deploy a bunch of mammoths directly into the backline. There's a commander right here, KK-357. Does get sniped by these heavy mammoths that just got dropped into the war zone. That is a cool little move right there. Yeah, transports managed to actually blow up everything, or the transports managed to get blown up, but the mammoths have already deployed. The Thor's sending shockwaves through everything the blue team held near and dear, and at this point, 100 metal per second, and I'm feeling there's probably no hope anymore for the blue team. Warty trying to run away, hiding their shame as everything crumbles around them. Self-destruct is called. A noble send-off as the Titan marches forward, and the red team will conquer the Glitters field today. Capturing victory here. I want to say conquering because of Conquestor here. Conquesting victory here today on all that glitters. What a bizarre match beyond all reason. So much metal out on the field, and it feels like only in that last 5-10 minutes did we actually see it get used. But in the end, it will be the overwhelming technological investment from the red team that secures victory in today's game of Beyond All Reason. Thanks a ton if you made it this far. I always appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next one. Peace out, everybody.